Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Mr. Lyons?
Here.
Ms. Misbach? Mr. Kashani? Dr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. DiTullio?
Here.
Ms. Goebel?
Here.
Dr. Meyer?
Here.
Dr. Mihalik?
Here.
Mr. Moy? Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1.02, recognition of visitors. If anyone would like to address the board on business before the board, they may do so at this time. And we'll move right on to student recognition. Ms. Hathaway.
Thank you. As promised, the district continues to share some scenes from student productions to highlight how learning is taking place not only inside the classroom and outside the classroom, but on stage. Tonight, Pine-Richland Middle School students, along with director Angela Chury-Gross, producer Mary Lynn Dugan, and costumer Sabrina George are joining us with the students to share a scene from Footloose. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Thank you. My name is Angela. Thank you so much for having us. We brought 6 of our cast members today. I'll let them get in their little order here. So on your far left, we have Sophia. She was Ariel for our production. Gina is next to her. She and Jack were the Reverend and Mrs. Moore. We have next our Ethel. She was Ren's mom. That is Drew, and then Braden was our Ren, and his best friend was played by Michael, and his character name was Willard. So Jack, take it away.
Footloose has its roots from the 1984 film starring Kevin Bacon. It is loosely inspired by the events that took place in the small community of Elmore City, Oklahoma, where an 88-year-old ban on public dancing was repealed after a challenge by a local high school senior class. The film opened on February 17, 1984, while Footloose the musical opened on Broadway on October 22, 1998. We wanted to thank you all for that you do for our district by serving as our school board. We will be singing a small portion from the opening number of our show. We hope you enjoy it.
Just about there.
Sunday, Lord, I pray, tell me exactly the words to say. Give me strength, and maybe then I can reach my fellow men, so we all may rise again. Thank you, Lord. Amen. On my way to church this morning, I heard our choir warming up in the distance, and I was reminded of a line from our great poet, Walt Whitman, who wrote, "I hear America singing." And I thought, aren't we the song that we sing? Don't we lift our voices to tell the world who we are and what we believe? So this morning, I ask you, what song are you singing?
We've only been here 2 days and already Chicago seems a million miles away. But we were barely hanging on there, especially with his father gone. There's not too many places we could stay.
But maybe you all can find a job at SETI.
And maybe Red can stand it for a year. And maybe things won't be so bad.
Maybe I won't miss my dad, and maybe we can start a new life here.
Start a new life here.
But if Walt Whitman were alive today, what song would he hear America sing? All I hear is rock and roll music preaching a gospel of relaxed morals. And I ask myself, why does our Lord allow this? We know God has the power to turn all those records and books and videos into one big fiery cinder like that. But he doesn't. And why? Well, because God is testing us. And that is why each day we must ask ourselves, have I done the right thing?
we strive to do what's right. The right thing, the right thing.
Sin is a matter of black and white.
This morning, we welcome 2 new souls just arrived from Chicago. Ethel McCormick and her son. Ron, is it?
It's Ren.
Huh? Speak up. Let the Lord hear your voice.
Ren McCormick.
Ren, that's a very interesting name. Is that short for something?
Nope.
There's rumors going round about the new kid, and everybody's talking till they're blue. 'Cause you know how a stranger is. If he's not dumb, he's dangerous. But either way, at least it's something new.
Now I invite my wife, Vi, and our daughter, Ariel, to lead us all in song.
We've only been here 2 days and already
We strive to do what's right. The right
we're
thing.
barely hanging on.
The right
Especially
thing.
with my father gone. There's so too many places we can stay. But maybe I'll feel like the job is steady.
The right thing.
And maybe I can send it for a ride. And maybe things won't be so bad. And maybe I will miss my dad. And maybe we'll start a new idea. On any Sunday morning, here we'll be raising our voices in harmony, gathering to join the feast, asking God the Lord at least. We pray that one day, once our trials have ceased, we will be released.
Go in peace.
Really tremendous. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Ms. Dugan, all the sponsors and parents. I know you guys stand on the shoulders of dozens, if not hundreds, of students behind this cast, crew, who put this together. And it's just tremendous that you have this opportunity here. We are so glad to offer it to you. You really make us all proud. So thank you so much once again.
And thank you, Sabrina George, as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys. Awesome job, guys.
It's suddenly a lot quieter in here.
Yeah, so again, just for the board, this is part of school board recognition. So we really believe that spreading these out is a positive way to lift up the arts. One of the other pieces that Mrs. Williams has been working on will be behind us. So if you were here last week, you would have seen blue painter's tape, but we will have an art installation going up here that is being constructed by Eden Hall students. And to add a little bit of student to this room, it's used for an awful lot of purposes. And so by lifting up the arts, whether that's the visual arts or the performing arts, it's an opportunity to really put out in front of us what we believe in as a district. So thanks to Mrs. Williams, and know that that's all sort of getting looped into this never-ending school board recognition.
Thank you so much. Correspondence, Ms. Williams?
None's been received.
Thank you. Item 1.05 is a motion to approve the meeting minutes as attached for February 11th, a committee and voting meeting. Do I have a second? Thank you, Greg. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Although this is a planning meeting, we do have a number of items that are time sensitive that we'll be voting on tonight. The first is item 2.01, a motion to approve the personnel and supplemental items as attached. Thank you, Carla. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.02 is a motion to approve a proposal from Johnson Controls to perform obstruction testing and repairs to fire sprinklers. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.03 is a motion to approve new meal prices as indicated. And do I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion? We did have discussion on this at both committee and general meeting. There are some modest increases. Dana, could we get the, when you have the tool, could you post that out there when they do publish the final?
Sure, absolutely. It will probably be, I'm guessing, possibly this summer. Last year when they finally released it, it was kind of late June. But once we get it, we will definitely share that with you.
And you might want to put it on board docs and not email it, because I think it's about 23 pages.
Yes.
So thank you for that, too. Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.04 is a motion to approve the creation and establishment of the bylaws of the Pine-Richland Athletic Hall of Fame. It's been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion? I'll thank Dr. Pasquinelli for his work on this in advance.
Staff board had a lot to do with that.
Thank you.
Mr. Simmons as well.
Yes. Will we have to add this group to our Small Games of Chance and other recognition at some point? You'll let us know?
Blank stare.
You'll let us know? That's good. That's good. Yeah, I stumped that one. You give me a
He was thinking about Footloose.
Yeah, that's a good question. In all honesty, I'm not sure how that would look. I'd have to look at the structure a little bit more, see what the activities, and whether or not we're looking at them as a parallel similar to what you would say like prof would be, because prof is a group similar that would be added to that list and fall under that umbrella. So when making that parallel assessment, there's a chance that they would be one that would have to fall in line with that. The only issue would be as far as the creation of that organization, it being a 501c3 or not.
Well, we're managing all the funds through the school district budget, with the revenue from advertising. So it's still managed by our athletic director of athletics.
Right. So then it would be more of an internal, not an external.
Right.
Therefore, it would not then.
The way it's currently set up, that revenue is included in our general fund revenue under the scoreboard advertisements, and we increased that to show one additional advertisement for this upcoming year. And then the costs are included as a new line item in the athletic department budget to be handled and approved through Mr. Simmons and then through our office.
If they raise additional money, do they establish their own separate account and raise funds? I mean, let's say.
Currently, that's not how the structure is. So currently, the structure is somewhat similar to, well, I could use the High School Musical as a good example. The High School Musical runs through the general fund. If they go over, then the overall general fund budget absorbs that negative. If they were under, which they haven't been, but in terms of that, then it would go toward the general fund overall. So we imagine that would be a net zero.
Right, so when you look at that, so that being the case, then no, that wouldn't necessarily have to go to the approved groups. And the way it's structured, that money being funded through there, with basically those funds going to the ability to provide the plaque and the banquet on an annual basis, there shouldn't be a necessity to go above and beyond those funds that are being provided.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
We got around to it. The wheels got working once the question was posed. Yeah.
I don't even think he was asking for an answer this evening.
But I got one.
But you got one, so that's good.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.05 is the second reading of miscellaneous 200 policies, so policies that were not pulled from the 200 batch. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in, any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Miller.
Okay. In our strategic update section, we have two two main areas here. First is in terms of the strategic plan itself, where are we? And we are at a place where we're trying to further refine feedback from the town halls in order to narrow down the long-term goals into short-term actions. And so we have one example here. If you could pull up the appropriately named example of long-term goals, short-term actions, and measures. So on the right side of this is an example of what we're doing. This won't show up in the plan per se when it's ready to be finalized, but it's an exercise that we conducted in the third town hall, and it's an area of focus where we want to ask the question, how will we know in 1 year, 2 years, 4 years that we're getting better? How will we know within a long-term goal whether the short-term actions are getting us to a better result? And so again, just the exercise itself is a huge step in the direction of getting clarity around our goals and priorities for the next 4 years. So that's all I was going to share about that, just as an example. Any questions on that? Okay, and then part two is, and this sort of, even though we work way ahead, caught me by surprise, we have to submit to PDE by May 1st. Our special ed plan. This is a component of the PDE comprehensive plan. But because we only have one meeting in April, it's April 8th, and because we need 28 days notice, we actually needed to put this on this agenda, even though May 1st, at least in my mind, seems a long way away. So the special ed plan, Mr. Huswit led the refinement. A lot of it is similar. It has been refined and updated where appropriate. It was made public at our town hall process. We will, as a result of this information item, make it available on the website, here at the district office, at the high school Northern Tier Library, and at the Richland Northern Tier Library. It's there for public display, and then we will submit it to, we will ask for board action, and we'll submit it to PDE. Okay. Okay, that's it for 301.
Item 3.02 is our placeholder for the board goals under the strategic plan. The attachment there is unchanged since our last discussion, which was refined at our retreat. And it's always open for thoughts that you may have or input you'd like to give. Along the same lines that Dr. Miller mentioned in the other components of the strategic plan, I think the next step on refinement is to begin to look at this and say, what measures are we going to utilize to assess our own effectiveness in moving these goals forward. A complement to that is, you know, we've shared some dialogue. I think it's appropriate to share more broadly here about the board self-assessment tool. And so we are working already with something that Dr. Miller shared with me. We've gone back a little bit. We want to share it with the executive committee, refine it, and then share it again, each step hopefully getting more input. But already embedded in that are some of the measures that will have input here. That said, if there's something that occurs to anyone along these lines or something that we've missed, please let me know, or if you do have some thoughts to share on specific measures prior to us going through that process, please let us know. But that's the next step at this point. Any comments or suggestions? Thank you. Dr. Mihaly, could you do finance for us this evening?
Sure. Item 4.01, financial reports and accounts payable. Right now, this is an information item that I guess will be populated with dollar amounts for the voting meeting later on in the month. Budget transfers. So this is, again, an information item for consideration at the regular voting meeting. The motion will be to approve budget transfers in the amount of $32,153. Then item 4.03, this is information item about First Commonwealth Bank money market account. I don't know if there's any more details you want to offer on that. Yeah.
Just briefly, this is just to establish a money market account to work alongside our normal checking account that we have in Fund 34 for our swap proceeds. For many years, because the interest rates were relatively low, we were earning a small amount of interest, and it really was no different from a money market fund as well. However, we've been working with the bank to kind of negotiate a savings vehicle for the money that's sitting there currently. So we'll continue to have the checking account. We're just going to try and invest those excess funds in that account for the time being.
Okay, thanks. Item 4.04, another information item for a vote later this month, authorization for our solicitor to institute real estate assessment appeals. This one is for non-newly constructed properties within the township of Pine-Richland transferred in 2018 where the taxes generated on the difference between the selling price and assessed value would exceed $1,000. Item 4.05, an information item for board consideration at our regular meeting. This will be a motion to approve the engagement letter from Echo Financial Products in the amount of $5,700 to prepare derivative valuations and fair value services required by the Government Accountable Standards Board, GASB. I don't know if there's any more details on that.
This is really just an annual calculation because we've had one swap transaction finish back in September. Our annual fee for this service is lower for this upcoming year.
Thank you. Item 4.06, this is will be a motion to approve an engagement letter with Dinsmore and Scholl LLP for bond counsel services. Okay, item 4.07 is information item for the 2019-2020 AIU Program of Services budget for the AIU. Any details on that?
Well, it's an annual approval. It is a small percentage, I think around rounds to 1% of the AIU's budget. So each school district would be best to be captured as each school district's share of just ensuring that the IU is there. Mm-hmm. The majority of the services it provides are federal, state contracted, or contracted with school districts, but a lot of those don't allow for that overhead to work out. And it takes care of the overhead in programs that wouldn't fall under that, such as some of our cooperative purchasing programs, things like that, but not the actual expenditures that we make under that.
The vast majority of this is the school districts pay a portion of the FTE for certain positions at the IU that support our functions. I rarely get a chance to share that I am the finance chair of the Superintendent Advisory Council. So this is my opportunity to lead at the AIU level, so it feels good to see it on the agenda.
And that is shared with me every time this comes up and every opportunity because they are so grateful for your input.
Are you serious?
Deadly.
Oh,
yes. Good. There's a long list of people waiting to do the job, so you should. No, seriously, thank you. If there are any questions, by all means, I don't want to dwell on it too much because it is a small piece, but Dr. Miller and I are uniquely positioned to answer them. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thanks. Item 4.08 is a reminder of upcoming Finance Committee meeting scheduled for April 8th, 2019 at 6:00 p.m. Tentative topics include the 2019-2020 budget and staffing. Thank you.
And before we move on the Finance Committee, I wanted to raise something. I hope it's okay if I raise it publicly. We had some communication. We have potential bond refunding pending. And we did have some information, preliminary information from DECD. Is that correct, Dana? Could you share that with us? Because I'd like to know when we could talk about it or discuss it now, maybe if we have that opportunity briefly.
Sure. Whenever I reached out to Mr. Pastel to obtain his engagement letter for tonight's meeting, he did indicate that the last time that we had a refunding, you may remember that the last refunding we captured our savings at the end of that issue and essentially shortened the term. He did indicate that there was some disagreement at the DCD level the last time, but they were willing to approve it by doing it in that format. He is unsure if DCD will approve that same type of format of savings to take that savings at the end of the issue and shorten the term. He believes that DCD may require us to take the savings level. So I did indicate that from our discussions that we had at the last Finance Committee meeting, and again, we'll continue that discussion in April and see what the market looks like. that if we are permitted to take the savings near the end, that's definitely an option that we want to be able to look at. If they're not willing to approve that, then obviously then we would be looking at the level savings as well. So he's aware of where we're coming from.
What would the rationale be to not allow us to do that?
At DCD's level, I don't know that necessarily. So I'm sure that we'll be able to find that out as Mr. Pastel kind of negotiates and provides that information back and forth with them. So I don't know.
I can tell by Ben's experience. You came up blank when you asked yourself the same question. I couldn't say.
I read that in advance. It struck me as like, why would, why does it make a difference to them?
The best I could come up with is because the colored graph looks a lot better when you don't do that. It's nice.
Or budgeting, I mean, for them to
A rule
do
of thumb, a bright
predictability.
line.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think, yeah, I wouldn't mind pushing back a little bit on that to maintain that flexibility. I mean, we're doing so in direct response to investor concern as expressed by the rating group, right? I mean, that's...
Exactly.
Ben, your expression says it all. Thanks, Matt. Dr. Meyer, academic achievement.
Item 5.01 is just a informational item. At the next phase of our resource review process, parents, students, community members are invited to review the resources and provide input starting Tuesday, March 5th, tomorrow. The feedback gathered will be used to support the final recommendations, which will then also be put on display for 30 days for an additional community input window prior to requesting board approval. Do you guys have anything to add?
I would just say that while it's the K-12 health resources, through that process we did find 7-12 vendors that we were interested in putting forth. In terms of the primary resources in K-6, we're considering using thematically based units that we can look at that in a little bit more in depth, but there wasn't somebody that stood out in this round that we wish to move forward for the lower level. So primarily back there, it's the secondary resources for health PE as well as math and science. And then in addition to that, we mentioned last time that we're moving forward with the K-5 science resources and then also the basic facts for K-5 as well. So we will be looking at that, the first round of that prior to spring break with the committee of folks, and then we'll be letting you know where we stand with that. But both of those have arisen from end of program reviews as well as the necessitation to look at other products since our K-5 asset kit vendor is kind of changing their model, so more to come.
Just real quick on items on display, it doesn't look like it now, but by tomorrow afternoon, we'll have stations set up here with laptops. If community members want to come out and view the online products, they can do so. They can provide their feedback. All of the textbooks obviously will be back there as well. And this is the time of year we invite student groups to come as well. So that's exciting to see classes of students come down that are currently in the course, and from their perspective to provide feedback on the resources that we'll use moving forward is always nice to have student voice in the process. So that will occur over the next 3 days, tomorrow night, all day on Wednesday, and then Thursday evening.
And 2 brand new courses to our curriculum. So
that's correct.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Right.
When we've been doing the new, basically new curriculum at whatever grade, and looking at the new books versus online, are we leaning more and more and more online in classroom and kind of getting away from the books? Because we kind of have this hybrid model in most classes, right? Is that still the right place to be, or are we continuing to trend more and more online?
I think it was 2 years ago, we for one course we purchased just a class set, thinking that students would appreciate, they each would have an online version of the book. Halfway through the course, so many students were asking for a book to take home. We purchased a book for every student. So our students still want that hard copy, depending on their style of learning. They like the page turner. They like to. So we have consistently been working with these companies that we purchased a hard copy. With the hard copy, you get the online version that provides the family, student, and staff with flexibility. So we are still very much in a hybrid mode and see that continuing. we could go all online, but there's still a lot of student preference for the textbook.
This is going to hurt Mike, but there's actually a lot of research that says the paper pencil, especially for taking notes and for reading, still provide better learning experiences for the students than strictly online. So I would encourage continuing to look at that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I was just wondering what we see the actual in the classroom. To me, it's kind of heartening to see that we're still turning pages.
Yep.
Maybe everything's not classic, like Footloose is now a classic, but books are still being used, so that's great, right? So maybe we're not quite as old as they think we are, but I was curious as to if we were shifting more and more in that direction. It's kind of nice that we're not, but I was wondering what student preference was these days.
Yeah, flexibility is what's key, and that's what we have about these programs.
And we have curriculum review meetings this week, right?
Yes.
Do we know the weather forecast?
Yeah, tomorrow evening,
Cool.
6 to 7:30, and Friday from 11 to 12:30. Yeah, so 6 to 7:30.
If we have to light candles, we're having that bad boy. I mean, to see, you know what?
Dr. Silba has these little foot pedals that might be able to generate enough energy that if necessary we can.
I was all set to go the last 2 iterations of it until the weather hit. This Friday's the only one I can make, but I'll have 2 kids in tow if I make it. So.
Very well.
I'm just going to jump one more a little bit, Greg. This is just a little bit too good for y'all. The past 4 years, sales of online books have actually declined, and sales of paper-based books is back on the rise. So.
I can't read online, so I read a book that's in my hand.
Thank you. Mr. DiTullio, buildings and grounds, please.
Okay, item 6.01 is going to be a motion at the next meeting to approve a proposal from BP Construction to replace the countertop sinks and garbage disposal in the high school family consumer science room, and it's a cost of just shy of $10,000. I think it's $9,900 and some change. Any discussion on that? Item 6.02, again, a motion is going to be presented to approve advertisement of bids for exterior window replacement and automatic temperature control replacement and restroom renovation and exterior improvement for Richland Elementary. Any discussion? Okay. Item 6.03, again, there will be a motion to approve AB Specialties to complete the Pine-Richland Middle School security wall project and replacement of doors at the back hallway of the gymnasium through CoStars. I believe there's the sum total, I think it's $7,600 and $21,300 for those 2 projects. Is there any discussion? Item 6.04 will be a motion to approve an addendum to the 2019-2020 curtailment services agreement with NRG Curtailment Solutions. Assuming no discussion, I'll move to item 6.05, which will be a motion to approve the addendum to the existing direct energy agreement to include the electric service on the visitor side of the stadium building, which was added. And the final buildings and grounds, item 6.06, will be a motion to approve a proposal for the assessment control solutions to provide property appraisal services in the amount of $8,900 per the attached. Any discussion?
Thanks, Frank. Dr. Campbell.
All right, for student services, item 7.01 is for information purposes that at the next meeting we're considering a motion to approve the student attendance at the junior ROTC senior trip to Langley. It's going to be in April, and there'll be $250 cost to the district for their seniors to attend. Item 7.02 is another information item for consideration of the March meeting, a motion to approve the student attendance for the boys lacrosse team to go to Doylestown in mid-April for some lacrosse games. Cost of district is 0 on that one. Item 7.03, another information item, we have a donation. So we'll have a motion to accept at the next meeting accept with sincere gratitude to Todd Sherritt the donation of an Acrobat HD low vision reader with a value of approximately $1,500. Item 7.04 is an information item, and Robert Morris University is entering into agreement with Pine-Richland to allow internships, practicums, preclinical, and student teaching opportunities. And as a caveat, as a Robert Morris employee, I was not a party to this. I'm not aware of it, so it ended up on the agenda. I was not involved in this. Pretty standard language for cooperative agreement for student placement. Stop me if there's any discussion, by the way. Item 7.05, for information purposes, we're going to be considering at the next meeting a motion to approve the AIU policies, procedures, and use of funds for 2019 and 2020 school year as attached. So information about what services they're providing is attached in this month's meeting, and we have an agreement for the payment that we're making to them per the payment schedule for districts in the AIU. Item 7.06 is the PIA championship update for information purposes. One of our students, Nate Lucas, I believe, qualified for the PA State Wrestling Championship in Hershey from March 6th to 10th. So later this week, this will be competing and representing Pine-Richland there. So congratulations to Nate on that. And lastly, for information purposes, 7.07, we have a review of our committee meeting that we just had previous, the Joint Student Staff Services Committee. So I'll turn it over to, who wants to take that to recap?
I'll give you a quick summary. We had 3 topics on the agenda. First, we talked about our activity fee structure. We made some modifications to our activity fee structure back in 2014. So we recapped that conversation. Again, it's about opportunities for students to participate in a number of different experiences outside the classroom. So just kind of talk through that and options for students to get involved in many different things, and that allows them to continue to do that. Second topic, we talked about partially funded programs. So we have a number of partially funded, primarily athletic programs, and just talked about how the district supports what the role of the athletic director is in that process. And the conversation does come up from time to time about modifying that structure, and so we had some conversations around that. And then our third conversation was around class rank. We have a class rank policy that was pulled from batch. So the committee took some time just to talk about some of the implications of class rank and what does that mean for students getting into colleges and universities. Through our research, we found that there is really limited focus on class rank anymore with colleges and universities. So really internally for us, it's encouraging our students to take courses based upon interest and challenge and not take courses around grade point average. So what we learned, again, from working with colleges and universities, that they are primarily looking at the courses that students are selecting, both within Pine-Richland and some of those college-level courses, and they also put weight on the school profile. So every school develops a profile around its academic status. So that's another one of those key things that colleges and universities look at. So that we just had an opportunity to talk through the conversation of class rank and all those implications of any modifications.
And a follow-up question that came to mind. Dana, it was discussed that for students with free and reduced lunch, the activity fee is automatically waived. Is there anything done proactively to notify them that it's going to be waived so they know they can do that activity without the activity fee being charged?
That I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if they are notified through the high school. I do know that the notifications that we send as part of the free and reduced program does happen somewhat instantly. So in our office, if they submit an application, whether it be in paper or online, that processing is done very, very quickly. It can be done within the same day. Oftentimes, too, we do receive notification from the Department of Public Welfare of students that could be eligible that have not turned in a paper application. We also do that matching with our student information system. If there are students that come from that listing that did not submit an application, we reach out to those families and let them know that they're already qualified for the program. In order to be removed from the program, they actually have to return a letter in writing to be removed. Now, in terms of the activity fee, I don't necessarily know if the high school sends anything out to them specifically, so we can follow up on that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see if there's a way to, if there's any correspondence that goes out on an annual basis or something to people enrolled in that program, to include a mention that, by the way, being enrolled in this program also waives the activity fee, so your children are eligible to participate in any number of activities on this list for with no additional cost.
Well, most of us are here. I would add sort of two things. I think in separating the topics on class rank, we would expect to hear back from Nancy Bowman and the high school group. One of the things I think I would summarize it for the public is there is probably more emphasis placed within the student body on class rank than what we think would be best. And one of those areas of focus is student speakers and graduation. That's, in fact, I think the only place that class rank sort of matters within the school right now. So addressing that, or maybe looking at it a little more closely, we're going to wait to hear back from Principal Bowman and the group that's been studying this at the high school. Is that correct, Mike?
That's it.
Thank you. I don't think we achieved, that's clarity if not finality, but I don't think we necessarily achieved either with respect to the fee and partially funded sports. So what I'd like to ask is that we maybe spare some time when we have a full board together. I know it's a topic that was of interest to some members who couldn't be with us tonight, and maybe give an update and sort of suss those topics out a little bit further again at a general meeting, provided with some additional input during the weekly updates maybe.
That's fine. I mean, our next meeting is at Beatty, our March 18th meeting. We can put it as an information item for just some discussion, if only to determine what the game plan is for any next steps.
That's all there is for student services.
Before we move on, can I go back for a discussion on 701? Just a question. So the cost of the district of $250, including the vans and fuel, who's driving the vans?
Our JROTC instructors typically drive the students down there, and those instructors do provide documentation to the district relative to driver's license, insurance, those kind of things. So they are approved drivers of the vans on an annual basis.
Right, so they don't need any kind of special licensing for the number of students that they're transporting? Okay.
No, they do not.
Yep.
Good.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Ben. Ms. Goebel, Staff Services.
Okay, item 8.01 is personnel, and there'll be a motion presented to approve a list of personnel items. And item 8.02 is a motion to approve the attendance and application of Dr. Miller, our superintendent, to participate in the Baldrige Board of Examiners training in Maryland for 3 days in April. And there'll be, the information's attached actually, and we'll just be asked to vote on that.
I just again want to thank you for considering that again. I view this as significant leadership development for me. I believe it helps our organization, and I believe we see the results of harvesting some of the very best ideas from around the country and being able to bring them to Pine-Richland.
Operational services, in Mr. Moy's absence, we will be considering at the regular March meeting a motion to authorize the advertisement for a bid for liquid propane gas commodity storage and delivery services consistent with prior years. Any questions for Dana? Under board business, I'll sort of segue between board business and reports. I think these are more reports. Christine has provided a extensive, it's on there, her prof report and a Beatty report, actually, that she asked me to highlight for the group. Some great stuff going on there. She was very impressed with the World of Wheels competition. Jenny, I know she had mentioned. So fantastic stuff going on there. In IU, I want to remind people of the IU election and convention on Thursday, April 4th at 5 p.m. The deadline for submissions for candidates has passed, so we do have what appears to be a competitive race for those who are running for re-election, myself included. So if you're not doing anything else, if you need a ride, let me know. We can arrange that. That's within bounds, I believe. So, but it is a great opportunity, especially for those who haven't attended, and a great excuse to attend, to really see the broader world, meet board members from other districts around Allegheny County, and really see the breadth of programs and the breadth of challenges within Allegheny County along those lines. And that's something we always challenge to do as board members at the IU, because if you're here at 30,000 feet and struggle to stay up there at the IU, you're at 40, and really it's a success if you can get down to 30. So along those lines, and this came out at one of our retreats, we asked the director, executive director for family services to give us a tour of some of the programs that we hear so much about. So we had the opportunity 2 weeks ago to take a visit to the Schumann Center, which is their juvenile detention center, where the IU runs what is essentially a 7 through 12 school for children who find themselves there. And it was a tremendous experience. You know, I will share, one observer said to me, well, what was it like? Because you'd think they're either going to be like the best teachers in Allegheny County or just, you know, the worst that gets forgotten. And I think they've really risen to the challenge. And they've formed a community and a place of calm at the center, both figuratively but also literally, and the way the building's designed, that this is where those children will spend, you know, 7.5 hours of their day. And they provide an opportunity for calm and for learning, a respite, if you will. There are a lot of challenges, which I won't get into, but it was just tremendous to meet them and see this community that's existed, this community of learners, and also this community of teachers and administrators who've created that and have been laboring there, not something we would know about or touch in our regular lives. So it was truly inspiring. We also toured a DART center for early intervention in Sharpsburg, which is co-housed with an early Head Start, and then went on to a family center in Highland School District in Taranto, which houses a lot of programs, early Head Start, a Head Start, a lot of programs to integrate families, provide more family education. So, and the number of sources we went through, and the program director must have listed about 8 discrete funding sources and grant applications and ways that they bring resources into communities where it's just really needed. The spirit and camaraderie of the personnel there, and really the joy of the families who are participating. We met the kids and met the instructors and met some of the parents, was just tremendous. So it was a great opportunity, a great learning opportunity for me to see it. And something it's hard to remember as part of this job description is people were happy to see us. And I don't know why I'd be happy to see a board member, but I know that somebody said, well, we didn't think you guys cared, right? We didn't see you. So just by walking in there and showing that, if there's nothing else you can do, because we do care, right? That's why we do this. So it was elevating on a lot of levels. So I did want to share that experience because it was one of the best days off I've had in a while. So thank you. Any other reports? Great. We'll move to our second recognition of visitors. Seeing how there are no comments, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.